Have you ever wondered why the people who used to be at the top of the class are now struggling with monthly bills, while the average ones prospered quickly? There is a harsh truth about the trap of talented people that King Solomon warned about 3,000 years ago. And ironically, being smart is sometimes the very barrier on the path to wealth. Here is why this happens and perspectives from King Solomon, who is known as the wealthiest and wisest king in history. The question we will answer today is, why is it often difficult for smart and talented people to get rich? We are often taught, study hard, master a profession, and money will naturally come to you. But reality presents a grim statistic. The most excellent people in a professional field often only stop at being well off or having a high income, while the truly wealthy are often not the best at execution. There are 4 reasons as follows. 1. The trap of perfection. Doing it all yourself. Talented people often carry a curse, which is extremely high standards. When you have the ability to do something at a 10-point level, you will look at everyone around you doing it at a 7 or 8-point level with dissatisfaction. The belief that no one can do it as well as I can begins to form, and from there, you fall into the trap of taking on everything yourself. True wealth does not come from how well you do something, but from how many times you can multiply that value. Talented people are selling their own labor, a finite resource. When they stop working, the cash flow stops. In contrast, rich people learn to accept the imperfection of others in exchange for their own freedom. They spend time building systems, processes, and learning how to delegate. Instead of being the best football player, they choose to be the manager who owns the entire team. 2. The misalignment between expertise and the market. A classic mistake of talented people is that they love their product too much and forget the needs of the market. A baker might spend a lifetime researching the recipe to create the best cake in the world, product-centric, but if they do not know how to get that cake into the hands of someone who is hungry, market-centric, they will still go bankrupt. Cash flow does not flow to the place with the best skills. It flows to the place that best solves the pain points of the market. Talented people are often absorbed in upgrading their certificates, degrees, and professional techniques, things that only make them a more expensive tool. Meanwhile, getting rich requires skills in sales, marketing, and understanding human psychology. If you do not know how to do business, professional excellence is just a luxurious but impractical piece of jewelry. 3. A big ego and the fear of losing face. The more talented you are, the bigger your ego. When a person is used to being praised as the most excellent, they begin to form a defense mechanism, fear of failure. Because failure means the perfect image they have held for so long will be shattered. Building wealth is a game of probability and trial and error. To have a successful business model, you may have to go through 9 humiliating failures. For a talented person, those 9 failures are a disgrace. But for a person with a wealth-building mindset, it is just the cost of learning. Talented people often choose safe, predictable paths to protect their reputation, inadvertently missing out on breakthrough opportunities that always lie in the risk zone their ego doesn't allow them to enter. 4. Professional employee. Mindset versus asset mindset. The traditional education system is a factory that produces excellent employees. We are taught to become good doctors, talented engineers, or reputable lawyers. These jobs bring high income and respect, but they have a physical limit that cannot be surpassed. Time. Talented people often focus on increasing their hourly wage. Rich people focus on building or owning assets, things capable of generating money even while they are sleeping. A good doctor only makes money when standing in the operating room, but a hospital owner makes money even when they are on vacation. The difference lies in this: talented people use their intellect to serve their job, while rich people use their intellect to own systems that work for them. So, after understanding the reasons, let's find out what King Solomon had to say. King Solomon was not only a legendary monarch, but is also considered a symbol of human wisdom. In his writings in the books of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, he left sharp observations about the nature of wealth, which he believed never comes solely from being good at a certain skill. First is the inability of skills against time and chance. Solomon wrote one of the most practical and somewhat grim quotes in the history of philosophy. "I have seen something else under the sun. The race is not to the swift or the battle to the strong, nor does food come to the wise or wealth to the brilliant." Ecclesiastes 9:11. He pointed out that this world does not operate on a rigid mathematical formula that smart equals rich. A fast runner can stumble right before the finish line, a strong warrior can lose to a stray arrow, and an extremely smart person can still be destitute. Why? Because they lack sensitivity to the times. Talented people are often too confident in their personal abilities and forget to observe the flow of the era. Wealth, according to Solomon, is the intersection between true ability and knowing how to seize opportunities when they appear. Those who are arrogant because of their talent often become blind to the fluctuations of life, leading them to stand still while the world has changed. Next is diligence and the power of synergy. Many talented people fall into the trap of lazy intellect. They think that because they are smart, they do not need to make an effort like others. Solomon rejected this with a firm assertion: "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." Proverbs 10:4. Talent is just the seed, while diligence is the soil and water. Without decisive action, talent will forever remain in the mind and never transform into material assets. Moreover, Solomon highly valued breaking down the ego to listen. He wrote, "For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisers." Proverbs 11:14. Talented people often suffer from the know-it-all disease. They are hesitant to ask and afraid to listen to opposing views. But Solomon taught that sustainable wealth always requires a network of different minds. No matter how talented a person is, they have blind spots. True prosperity lies in the ability to gather and operate the collective intellect, many advisors, rather than the solitary journey of a lone genius. Finally, the paradox of giving, the core value mindset. This is perhaps Solomon's most profound lesson on spiritual economics. One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. Proverbs 11:24. Professionally talented people often have a tendency to hide their trade or fear that others will take their position. They think in terms of a finite pie. If I give, I will lose. But Solomon viewed wealth through a flow mindset. When you spread your value by helping others, sharing knowledge, or creating products that solve problems for the community, you are creating a magnetic pull that draws prosperity back to you. Excessive withholding is not only about money, but also about mindset. If you fiercely guard your abilities for yourself, you can only earn money commensurate with your personal labor. But when you spread that value, you are building a brand, credibility, and a system. That is the key to wealth growing exponentially. Through Solomon's lens, we see that talented people struggle to get rich because they often lack the humility to learn, the acumen to grasp the times, and the generosity to create value greater than themselves.